everybody. This is Gentleman Style Podcast Show. Your host, your favorite gentleman, Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show. And today we have a very, very special guest, Miss Lauren Hope. She's a former television reporter who lost everything after a suicide attempt in 2014. She subsequently became homeless and unemployed. But her story is absolutely a game changer, and she is sharing her story in her blog, the Girl Chronicles, LLC, and opening the door for her to become a blogger, mental health advocate, speaker, and registered peer recovery specialist. Miss Lauren recently graduated from Regent University with a master's degree in strategic communications. She's also a board member of the Virginia chapter for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and lived and is here to say she's here to help people for Mental Health Awareness Month. Please help me welcome to the stage the incredible Lauren Hope.
Wow.
Thank you for joining us on the Gentleman Style Podcast stage. We appreciate you, Queen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. One more round of applause, y'all.
Oh, I love this so much.
I love this. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to be with us today, Miss Lauren. I thank you so much. Successful people, diving right in, successful people have habits. And so what is one habit that you do that sets the tone for the rest of your day? What's a morning routine that really kind of just starts your day off on a really good note?
Good question. And I love mornings. Just thank you so much for having me on here. That whole intro, everything that was happening, I was like, whoa, this is a big deal. So thank you.
You're a big deal.
So honestly, I'm a very spiritual person. So the most important morning practice I do is taking time with God, reading the word. I either do that through praise and worship, reading the word, or listening to a sermon. And the days that I do that, which I try to do it just about every day, I feel emotionally, spiritually full. So that's like my most important morning practice.
I love that. I love that. And so living or deceased, doesn't matter which, who inspires you? Who motivates you?
That is so good. Honestly, the first thought comes to my Aunt Doris. She passed away when I was in my mid-20s. She was the epitome of a sweet, nurturing, strong Christian woman. Yeah. And when I think about the woman that I want to be and how I want to love people and how I want my purpose to show up here on this earth, I think about my Aunt Doris.
Thank you, Aunt Doris. Round of applause for Aunt Doris. Yes. Rest in peace.
Oh, she's amazing. Beautiful, beautiful soul. Beautiful. Yeah.
Wow. She is shining through you, and it shows, right? It blossoms. That giving spirit, that nurturing spirit. I follow you. You. In a safe way, right? We're not crazy. We're not saying but I follow you, and you are an inspiration.
Oh wow!
And what you do is impactful, and it's necessary. During the pandemic was crazy, right? It was a dumpster fire. How has the pandemic been for you, going through it?
Honestly, I wish I could say that it was amazing and I came up with all these creative things. It was so hard. It was one of the hardest years of my life, honestly. I think we need to understand that we all went through this pandemic together, and it was a traumatic experience. All of us experienced trauma. We all did. And it was hard. I was really anxious about leaving the house. My anxiety, I have one of my diagnoses is generalized anxiety disorder, and so anxious about going outside of the house. I missed my friends. I did not love working from home. I experienced a pretty major depressive episode from October to early February because I live with major depressive disorder. So my mental health diagnoses, gosh, it just triggered me in so many ways. I have complex PTSD, and I'm just putting all this stuff out here. Some people say I am an oversharer, but I'm a mental health advocate, and I understand the more we talk about it, the more it's normal. And I live and thrive with these diagnoses. So it was a hard year. It really was hard, for sure.
Absolutely. It was hard. But thank you for being that oversharing, because your story, if you all don't know, she has a blog called the Girl Chronicles, and she has spilled some incredible tea that has impacted me, has impacted people who follow her, and it shows every single day. She's a true inspiration to those that she touches. Everything she touches, it's kind of like that Midas touch. Everything she touches inspires, turns to absolute gold.
Oh,
So
word? Can I touch a lottery ticket? I'm kidding.
let me know when you do.
I'm going to touch a lottery ticket tonight.
Absolutely. I'll be right behind you. So this is Mental Health Awareness Month, and you are a foundation. One of the things, part of your story that you share, and applaud you. One of the things you share is that your struggle, your battles with mental health. How has that affected you in and how do you transition through it? Why is that so important in Mental Health Awareness Month? Because people don't notice that. People don't pay attention to that. And we've lost focus on that. Why is mental health awareness something that we need to shine a spotlight on?
Oh my gosh, so many reasons. The latest stat says 1 in 5 people will experience a mental health condition in their lifetime. 1 in 5. I actually was driving down in Norfolk, and EVMS had something that said 2 in 5. So I was like, oh my gosh, has the stat changed? We also know that people die by suicide at great numbers. And the reason why people struggle and don't get help is because of stigma. This negative connotation that comes along with saying you have a mental illness or going to get a therapist. You know, you'll hear people say, you got a therapist? I'm not seeing a shrink. I'm not crazy. And what mental health professionals are saying now is that we are now experiencing another epidemic, which is a mental health epidemic. During the pandemic, a lot of people who were sober for a long time fell to relapses, and mental health, you know, even say if you have a diagnosis and you're in recovery, we knew that people were struggling with relapses in their mental health. So the way that we dispel stigma, which is one of the biggest barriers to getting people to get help, is normalizing the conversation. It's not everyone's walk to talk about it the way that I do. It is my walk. It's one I'm comfortable with, one I tried to run away from, but God was like, no, this is you, sister. So yeah.
Absolutely. And it's important to talk about it. And thank you for leading the way and leading the charge and being so forthcoming about your story and being the leader, because we need you. What you do is so important. So thank you for speaking on it. Thank you for saying that. We have one quick commercial break from our sponsors. We'll be right back. You guys don't go anywhere. Stay tuned, stay engaged, stay with us from the incredible Lauren Hope.
Support for Gentleman Style Podcast is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming champions of the world. Manscaped offers you precision engineering tools for your family jewels. Manscaped just launched their 4th generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right, the 4.0. Join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off free worldwide shipping with the code GENTSTYLE at manscaped.com.
We are back, y'all, with the incredible Lauren Hope, aka Lolo. She put it there on the bottom of the screen. I love it. We have a treat for her. You all, if you haven't heard of this woman, you need to get to know this woman. You need to follow her story because she is absolutely amazing. Miss Lauren, I have a treat for you. We have a clip of one of your most recent speaking engagements, and I want to put it up on the big screen, so we're going to share it here today on the Gentleman Style Podcast stage. Y'all tune in, check this out.
I want to free people to tell their own story. There's something powerful in that. I want people to learn how to own their truth, live their truth, and then share their truth, whatever that is. My name is Lauren Hope. I am a motivational speaker and blogger, and I'm from Suffolk, Virginia. So I'm a Navy brat, like a lot of folks here in Hampton Roads. So we moved up and down the East Coast when I was younger, but we settled in Virginia Beach where I grew up and spent most of my time. And from there, I fell in love with telling stories. And so I took this amazing public speaking class in college. And the lady said, have you ever thought about being a television reporter? I said, absolutely not. But she believed in me so much that I decided to become a journalist, and that started my journalist career. The blog, Girl Chronicles, was supposed to be like the Black Carrie Bradshaw moment. I wanted to talk about love, sex, and relationships from a self-proclaimed goody two-shoes perspective. And it never was supposed to be this revealing, transparent thing about living with mental illness. Well, when I look back on my own story, it's still very surreal. I'm like, wow, that was really your life. There was really a time where you were on television and then you were sleeping in a car. I started to see what that did for me, and I wanted to give that experience to other people. And sometimes people get so beaten down by life that they don't think that they can get back up. And the biggest thing that I want people to see from me is that you can get back up.
That is like the best.
I told you guys, Miss Lauren Hope is changing lives. She's phenomenal. Who's our little friend there?
I wanted to introduce you to Boo Bear. He's the little dog that you see. He's like watching me like, this is my emotional support animal. I adopted him from a humane society, and he's a big part of my mental health recovery. So I just want him to come say hi. Are you going to be a Boo Bear?
Hey, Boo Bear. Thank you so much. Miss Lauren, that video was for you, and it was powerful for me because you are true inspiration. You inspire hope, and your name is Hope, right? And that's what you do. Tell me, what are some of the signs for mental health? People who are struggling with mental health, what are some signs so we can know, I can know when someone's suffering with it?
Love that you asked me that question. I also love that you showed that clip. It's so special to me. And every time I watch it, I have to because that what you saw was the Spark of Hope Storytelling Night, which is a show that I do featuring other people's stories. So yes, Erica, I'd love to connect with you. So warning signs, right? Honestly, a lot of us have what I call spidey senses, right? You know something is off with your friend. She hasn't checked in with you in a while, or he maybe is drinking more than usual. He's more irritated, more aggressive, and this is out of the normal, right? To me, when your spidey senses are going off, you need to make the call. You need to make the call. Because honestly, wouldn't you rather just be safe and show that you care? A lot of times when we see major behavioral changes, that could mean someone's, about to enter a crisis. They could be struggling with suicidal ideation or have a suicidal plan, or maybe they have a mental health condition at the time that they're not aware of. And we could help save so many lives if we were like, see something, say something, right? You see something's off and you're like, I'm not going to say anything because the next person's going to get it. I'll use myself as an example. I've struggled with major depressive disorder since my mid-20s. And before I left television, people were like, gosh, Lauren never picks up the phone anymore. I haven't seen her. She's not on social media. So there were signs that something was different, but I am the strong friend. So they're like, oh, she's good. No, she's good. No, I was struggling and I thought no one cared. Depression, this diagnosis in particular, makes you want to isolate. And there's this negative thing in your head that's like, no one cares, no one loves you. And I don't fault my friends for this because they didn't know, I didn't know. But how awesome would it have been if someone was just like, hey, I've noticed that you're not yourself lately. What's wrong? What's going on? Do you want to talk about it? I just want to listen. And that's another reason why I speak so much, because there are little things that we could do, right? And we honestly know when our friend is in crisis. We feel it.
That's true. Wow. Did I tell y'all she has a heart of gold? Did I fail to mention that? A heart of pure gold, right? And so that's big because too many times we just rub it off. We just brush it off like, oh, she'll connect. She'll reach out when she's ready. And that's not true. What you're talking about is loving someone enough to extend a hand. That's what you're talking about, right?
True story.
So,
true. And it's so interesting, right? Spiritual, right? That's what it is, sitting with someone in it. But mental health advocates, right? What we are taught is that when someone's struggling, we see the signs, change in behavior, lack of sleep. And when it comes to suicide, some people will even say verbiage that you're like, that's odd. If you feel uncomfortable about what they said, Assume you are the only person who's going to make that call, right?
Right.
It really could mean the difference in life and death. Like, that's how serious it is.
Wow. Thank you. She's spilling the tea, right? This is Mental Health Awareness Month, and we needed to shine a spotlight on this. And Miss Lauren is helping us get there. She's helping me. If anything else, you're helping me, girl. And I appreciate you so much. You worked in television. You worked in television. How did mental health affect? Well, first off, I want to read a statistic.
Okay, sure.
A recent survey, 80% of employees stated that workplace stress affected their personal relationships and themselves. And so you worked in television. How did your mental health was affected by the stressors of what you do? You were on television. You looked incredible. You did it every day. You owned a home. What happened? Is it that stressful?
Yeah. Honestly, I don't think people understand how hard being a television reporter is, how much trauma you see people at their best and worst days. We're out there with firefighters, first responders, and here's the difference. Police officers, first responders, if they see a traumatic scene, they're like, afterwards, they're like, hey, you have counseling available. Sometimes they're even told to be off for 24 hours. Reporters are not given that. They really aren't. I can't tell you how many stories was like a shooting death, and I was there meeting the family. And then the next day I'm at a vigil. And then a couple days later, I'm at a funeral. It was so hard on me. It was hard on me as a Black woman because I reported for the #1 station in Hampton Roads, and I was on nights and weekends. So I saw a lot of Black people die, a lot. And because of that professional barrier, I couldn't hug them. I couldn't pray with them. And I didn't know how to cope with that. So I swallowed it. And my therapist even said, you're experiencing trauma. You are. And then you're so tough about your job. You then turn around and go back and watch your story, the competitor's story. So you're replaying trauma. And that, coupled with the fact that I didn't want to accept that I had mental illness, is why I'm no longer in television.
Makes sense. Makes perfect sense. Amazing. Coming to the Gentleman Style Podcast stage, y'all. I told y'all this woman was powerful. I told y'all this woman was amazing. Miss Lauren, you have a company, your blog, Good Girls Chronicles.
Yes.
Tell us, what is that about?
I also want to pause because it is by God's grace that I am before you. I have to say that it's by the glory of God that, like, I survived what I survived in television. I survived what I survived in my mental health journey. And my mental health took me to the street. I was homeless, y'all. I was sleeping in the backseat of a Volkswagen Beetle, couch surfing, trusting bad people. It is by the grace of God that I was not. It's by the grace of God. And so what you feel in me is really the Holy Spirit, honestly. And I'm getting like really deep. When I was a TV reporter, I just had blinders on to the world. I'm like, I'm going to be on Good Morning America.
Right.
And now, because of this spiritual experience I had in my homelessness, God has broke my heart for the brokenhearted and changed my whole purpose. But I think this was the purpose I was supposed to be on anyway, which is Good Girl Chronicles. The heart of this business is I am a storyteller. There she is right there. Good Girl Chronicles, LLC. I want to help people own their truth, whatever that is. Live it, because when you own it, then you can live it. I'm like, yes, sister, I survived a suicide attempt. I live with mental illness. I live with it. I thrive with it. It does not define me. Once you live with it, I want to show people how to share it, because it is the sharing. In the Bible, in the book of John, chapter 4, I believe, the woman at the well. It's an amazing book. You need to read the chapter. You need to read it. The woman at the well is one of the first people to have a physical encounter with Christ. And she goes to the village. And what does she do? She tells all her homegirls about this man who loved her, who gave her a living water. I am the woman at the well. I'm going to try not to cry. I'm the woman at the well. And God told me in my homelessness that my story was going to set a lot of his children free. And so every day, as hard as it was, depressed, anxious, I had to get up and keep sharing. Yeah.
Miss Lauren Hope, Woman at the Well, y'all. We have one more commercial break. We'll be right back. You guys tune back in. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Good day, podcast listeners. This is your boy, Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show. I wanted to let you guys know that we will be rolling out a new feature and adding a join sponsor button next to the subscriber button here at the bottom of your screen. Once you click the button, it will display 3 membership levels. Gentleman Gentry, which is our entry level, Duke Duchess, which is our season level, and the Emperor and Empress, which is our most sophisticated level, which you will receive unique perks and benefits at each differing level and gain access to our community tab. We will also be sharing polls, upcoming events, and interviews, as well as receive feedback from our sponsors directly. Your support helps me find new and exciting guests to bring to the stage live. Well, in order to get the higher end speakers, it requires, you guessed it, money. So thank you for tuning in to my channel. And if becoming a sponsor sounds good to you, then select the join button below and choose your desired sponsor level. Let's continue to grow and serve the future of generations of men and women to come. Love you guys. Bye. If you are just tuning in to this episode, we have the incredible, amazing, the beautiful Miss Lauren Hope spilling the tea. And she's helping us in Mental Health Awareness Month. And she's helping us fight back and give back and love on those who sometimes forget that they need love and sometimes forget that they feel alone, they feel cornered. She's helping us be someone else's advocate and figure out what the signs are of mental health in Mental Health Awareness Month. So she is phenomenal. You just talked about some of the things that to look for and extending that hand to someone who needs us. What can we do as a society to reduce the statistics? Because you said that earlier, 2 to 5 people are suffering from depression and some form of mental illness. And there's several. It's not just depression. It's not just PTSD. There are numerous types. What are some other ways people can help reduce that statistic and give back?
Honestly, stigma is so huge, particularly in the Black community. I was at a comedy show and I was there with the National Alliance on Mental Illness and the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And the DJ was like, yeah, go over there and get some help so you don't end up like your crazy uncle. And I was like, it was awful. And it was before a crowd of all Black people. And I was just like, crap, like you have just made people feel so bad and so weak and you don't even know that you're doing it, which is what's beautiful is that we talked after and I said, dude, that was not cool. So we need to change the way that we speak about suicide and mental health. You'll notice that when I say suicide, I say died by suicide or killed oneself. We no longer say committed because that has a very negative connotation. And make people feel safe to share. We're not going to say anymore, you're crazy or that's so bipolar. That language, that's something everyone can do today is to stop using stigmatizing language because you never know who is around you. You've said that, you've automatically shut down somebody from getting help. That's really how it is. Also, remember Mr. Rogers? Mr. Rogers would be like, look for the helpers. Some people don't know where the helpers are. There is so much support, especially now for mental health. So I'm on the Virginia chapter board for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. That is afsp.org. It's a website with tons of information about how to have the conversation. I am a presenter of something we call Talk Saves Lives. I'll come to your community. I'm sorry, it's afsp.org. We'll come to your community and I'll do this presentation that talks to you about suicide prevention. The National Alliance on Mental Illness is one of the oldest grassroots organizations dedicated, to helping people with mental illness. That one is NAMI.org, NAMI. We have a really active chapter in Virginia Beach. Also, the Suicide Prevention Lifeline. And it's so important to me. I literally keep it right here because this is where I do my lives. This is the Suicide Prevention Lifeline. It's 1-800-273-TALK, 1-800-273-TALK. These people are available 24 hours, 7 days a week. If you're in crisis or you know a friend who is, You don't even have to be the one in crisis. You're like, my friend, oh my gosh, said something, I'm uncomfortable. You can call, they'll help you. Hey girl, you don't want to call? You can text 741-741. Now I know that because I'm in the field, but I want everyone to know that. Everyone. That's another reason why I talk. I want everyone to know what this is. I am so blessed. I am now on the Lived Experience Committee for the Suicide Prevention Lifeline, a woman of color on this level talking, right? Because I know how much people of color, brown, everybody needs this information. So it's there, people. It's there. Thank you so much for putting that up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. A hero. I just did a previous episode about heroes. Lauren Hope is my hero. She's giving hope to the hopeless. And so what advice if to that young girl, that young boy, because like you said it earlier, sometimes mental illnesses is dismissed. Even in your own story, you shared that your family just kind of like told you to keep it under the rug, right? Sweep it under the rug. Don't say anything. Don't tell anybody. And then going to media, being in television, you really couldn't talk about it. And so what advice would you give to that young boy, that young girl who doesn't feel they have an outlet, who doesn't have a safe space to come out and say what they're battling with?
That's such a great. So I have always been a writer, always. Writing is now part of my mental health recovery. I journal a ton. When I'm anxious, when I'm sad, I'm depressed, it gets it all out of me. But if you're ever at the point where you're thinking about maybe harming yourself or somebody else, or you're getting really dark thoughts, then you need to talk to somebody and keep talking, right? A trusted friend, a pastor, what have you. And what's so great about these suicide prevention lifelines is that you can call that, and that call is confidential. 1-800-273-8255. You can text the crisis text line 741-741, because we know sometimes that parents don't understand, families don't understand. There's support out there. These people are there all the time to hear you. Don't be afraid to answer that call, because you're worth it. Your life is worth it. And let me just tell you, a thought leader that I really respect said something to the effect of, when we don't tell our story, right, there's someone out there. We do a disservice to somebody out there who needs it. We do a disservice. So I know that. So I know what my story is, right? I'm the woman at the well. And I need to share with you the chronicles of my life, right? Because it's something about that is going to set you free. And for the little boy and the little girl out there, you are worth it. You have a purpose and a future. And sometimes life gets hard, and it is totally okay to ask for help. And I don't mean to be a backseat producer. There is a question right here from Erica Holmes who says, how can we support people who suffer from mental illness? And I just want to say the big thing we can do is listen, right? And see, because we know when those spidey senses go off, pick up the phone. And then if you're watching this, I want you to remember these resources that we said. The Suicide Prevention Lifeline, the crisis text line. So if you encounter someone in crisis, you're going to know, oh, I remember that girl said I could text them, right? You can actually text them and say, hey, my friend said this, she did this, what should I do? And they'll advise you, they'll help you. It's help all the time.
Wow. Great question, Erica Holmes. She's one of our VIP sponsors of the show.
Oh, cool.
Great question, Erica. That is tremendous. Absolutely. So that's suicide prevention hotline. That's 1-800-273-8255. If you ever needed a place, ever needed a safe space, if you ever felt boxed in, please reach out. They're there for you. And if you need someone to text, you can't really talk to anyone, you're not in a space to talk to anyone, please text 741-741.
Absolutely.
Ms. Hope, how can people connect with you? How can we grow with you? How can we love on you and support the movement that you're on? Because you are a trained girl. You are leaving the station. How can we support you?
I am Good Girl Chronicles on all platforms. Good Girl Chronicles LLC on Instagram. I've just started doing some body positivity modeling there. That's exciting. I have a YouTube channel where I talk about mental health, love, sex, everything in between. And I think I'm pretty entertaining. And my business is called Good Girl Chronicles.
She talked about granny panties too, y'all.
Listen, I'm a curvy sister, okay?
Very entertaining.
Thank you.
But she is so amazing. So amazing. Is there anything that I haven't asked you? Anything that you wanted to share that I forgot or I failed to ask you? Anything that you wanted to get out that needed to get out?
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, great. Yes, yay. Self-plug time. So I have a show called Spark of Hope Storytelling Night. And it's beautiful. I allow people to share their stories in a public platform. You know, a lot of people want to be TED speakers, but it's hard to be a TED speaker. So on June 13th at Gourmet Burger Bistro in Portsmouth, we're going to have a Spark of Hope Storytelling Night. I have a comedian, a singer. I'll be sharing some of my work. I have a blog. I'll share some of that. We have a newcomer to the stage. And if you haven't been to Gourmet Burger Bistro, girl, you are missing out on the best burgers in town. It's a Sunday at 6:00, you know, so after you go to church, get all that stuff coming. Come for an amazing show. Today I'm doing a special, $5 off tickets at checkout. All you have to do is put in Good Girl. That's a discount. You can remember that. If you go to Good Girl Chronicles LLC or on Facebook, you'll see information about that show.
Good Girl. I can't spell Good Girl right now. Awesome. Get that plug, y'all. That's a plug. Check her out, Miss Lauren Hope. Miss Lauren, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You are phenomenal, girl. I want to say this to you publicly. Don't ever stop. Don't ever quit. Don't ever give up. We need what you're doing. The world is changed by you every single day. So please, life is hard, but we need you. You're carving a path to new heights and new aspirations and new states of awareness, and we need you to continue to fight and continue to push forward, because what you do is so important and so necessary. So I want to say this to you publicly: don't ever quit.
Thank you. I needed that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you all, my audience, for tuning into the Gentleman Style Podcast Show. I hope this message has served you, and I hope this has helped you change your thoughts about mental health awareness, change your mindset about how we treat and love on one another the way God intended us to love on one another, and love on those that may seem like they're less fortunate than us, and they're fighting a battle that you could never even imagine that they're dealing with on their end. And so I hope you take this message, and I hope it inspires you, and I hope it changes that heart stroke for you, because this is necessary. Absolutely. Thank you all for tuning into the Gentleman Style Podcast Show. I hope this has served you. Like I end every show, take care of your friends, take care of your family, and take care of business. This is Marcus Norman, Gentleman Style Podcast Show, your favorite gentleman, and Miss Lauren Hope, aka Lola, signing off. Love you guys. Bye.